people, I'm sure all of us here would join me in saying how pleased that we are that you've come here. We know that you've been travelling with your son for the last 3 months, visiting countries, different countries in Europe, Russia, Ukraine, Belgium, Germany. And we're going to hear about your work in the field of holistic medicine and all of the centres that you're involved in running with your son and many other volunteers. I heard that people work in the week and at the weekend they continue working, but for others in a completely voluntary way, which is very much the tradition of the NGO or the health field. It's mainly voluntary work.
Yes.
So we look forward to hearing you, and please feel free, and afterwards we'll have time for some questions and discussion.
Yes. How much time can I?
Well, we can go for an hour, but if you'd like to speak for maybe 20-25 minutes, that sort of length.
No, I can speak for 1 hour.
Huh?
I can speak for 1 hour.
No, I'm sure you can. It's a question of
Yes.
engagement,
Yes.
so I would sort of keep it a bit shorter,
Okay.
and then people can
Yes.
because other people need to go back to work as well, so there's a balance that we have to try to achieve between a work-life balance.
Yes. Okay. Would you like to just some words before starting? Would you like to say a few words before I comment?
Yes, this event today we are preparing for the last 2 years. Just I was knocking at the door of Alan and asking if he thinks it is an interesting subject to see a healing from a more holistic angle, not so divided as today. And then last year it was not possible to meet Nanda Krishna here because for technical reasons. So I'm very happy that it could happen this year, and if we are interested in future to have more details on this work, he comes back every year for 3 months into Europe, so we can then plan for future if there is more interest, perhaps also for doctors or for people who work practically in the field of healing. So I thank Alan and the NGO Forum for Health to give Ananda the platform. And now I give back to you.
So as usual, I start my speech just with an invocation for the welfare of the whole creation. It's our tradition. Hari Om.
मित्रस्यं वरुणः सन्नो भवत्वर्यमा सन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः सन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
So I thank you, and especially our respected brother Alan and our elder brother Rudolf Schneider, and to all of you for having given me this opportunity to meet you here. So health is the most important aspect for every being. And every being wants to be healthy because that's the primary thing in life without which all the other things are of not much use. So nature has provided us health because we can experience happiness only when we are healthy. Otherwise, that is not a good experience when our health is not in its original state. So that every human being knows this fact. But how to keep healthy and what are the various reasons for any sort of disturbance or distortion in the state of health? What is a disease? How we have to deal with a disease? That is always, it is a riddle. It takes the most important aspect of to deal from various angles. So now I am going to present this from the holistic aspect. So, health and disease, according to the ancient sciences of holistic sciences, they are not different entities, but they are only two different phases of the same force. That is the fundamental postulate of the ancient sciences. Because we have, our consciousness is, basically in three planes. One, what we know, the physical plane, which we have our apparatus, which we call our physical body. And then it is on the vital plane, in which we have the operation of the vital force, where we have all the senses and the activity. And then we have the higher consciousness. That means we can say that matter, force and consciousness. So matter, that belongs to our physical body. Force for vital body, or vital plane. And then consciousness, which constitutes our mind and our psychic and psychological faculties on that level. So, we can say that a perfect harmony and balance between these three aspects can be experienced as health. That is the basic explanation what you find in these ancient sciences of holistic healing. And what we observe as physical body is only a resultant of the various forces that are working. It itself is not an entity by itself. Therefore, experience of health or disease, its origin is from the deeper layers of consciousness. And the manifestation is on the physical plane, at the material plane, the physical body. So what is all manifested on the physical body is only the result of what is happening on the level of force which is directed by the consciousness on the higher level. So this is actually the pattern which nature has provided us. So health is something which cannot be purchased, basically, because today we are in such a world that health is considered that we can purchase health, but it is not possible. Happiness and health can be experienced but not purchased by any amount of money. So to be healthy, it should be an attitude. So to be healthy is most important. And it is important to know how we have to behave from the inner self to be healthy. That is most important. Because our behavior belongs to our mental, psychic and psychological levels of consciousness. And that behavior is reflected because it influences the lines of force that constitutes our vital level, our vital body. So therefore, how to deal with disease? Because disease, when it is not a different entity, because the origin of disease is not external. When the vital force is in its original form of functioning, then it is experienced as health. When the same force is distorted by any reason, by any factor, then it is experienced as disease. The same force, when it is in the original function, it is experienced as health. When it is distorted, it is experienced differently, which is called disease. This is
Out of ease.
out of ease. When we are in health, it is ease. We experience ease. When it is distorted, it is dis-ease. So, the phenomena of healing through any method you can apply, it should be to restore the original function of this life force. So it is called restoration. Cure means restoration of the original form of functioning of this vital force. And how this vital force functions about dealing with disease. Because according to the law of nature, this vital force which is provided to all the beings, it has one of the important function is whenever there is any sort of disturbance, a distortion, it makes an effort to regain its normal functioning. This is according to the law of nature. If this is not there, it is not possible for any being to get back to health. So this is the important point. So all our effort is to how to help our vital force, how to direct the vital force to regain the normal state of functioning as quickly as possible. That should be the effort in the field of healing. So to say, the effort should be from that inner level of consciousness, not from outside. So, what is it that can heal us? What is it that can cure any person from a disease? Is this vital force itself. This is the fundamental aspect. So if you try to deal something only at the level of the matter, the material level, on the level of body, it will be only of a temporary effect, but cannot bring a real solution. So, but then we may think that because we have so many types of medicines, many systems we have, and many sort of medicines more and more are getting invented. So, can medicine cure any disease? This is the question. If medicine can cure a disease, by this time all the human beings should have been totally healthy. Because you know how there are thousands and thousands of varieties of medicines. And now we can say, through my experience for more than 30 years, I have seen thousands of patients. I say that there are so many now in everyday life, they are habituated to take more and more medicines, even more than food. In daily life, consuming medicines in some way or other. So, if medicine could cure any disease, why should there be suffering anymore? No disease should have been existed, but it is on the contrary. More and more new diseases are coming up, which are bothering the human being. So this shows that it is not the medicine which can cure a disease. The purpose of medicine is not to attack the disease. So this is where actually we have to consider. If we want to attack the disease, then we are attacking our own tissues of the body.
This is what we call side effects.
When you want to attack the disease, because when disease is not a different entity, all the effort to attack the disease, it is pointed towards our own body and our own tissues. That is why, without making any effort towards the vital force and inner consciousness, if we deal only on the material body to attack the disease, because disease never exists on the physical plane. Origin of disease is on the higher plane of consciousness, and the result is manifested as a deformity and suffering on the physical plane. So then, what should be the purpose of the medicine? There are many types of medicinal substances which we use in different systems. So the purpose of medicine is not to attack the disease, because the cause of disease is very subtle, it is in the form of the force. So we have to aim at strengthening the vital force and directing the vital force to regain its original state of function. That is the way where you can regain without damaging our body. This is most important. Otherwise, if you have to medicate your body for the whole life, that itself shows that it is not a permanent solution. So we have to consider this point. So the medicine, if the medicinal substance is to be used, it is to be used only to direct the vital force, not to attack the disease. And how can a substance, a medicinal substance, which is on the material plane, can be used to deal with the higher level of consciousness? This is another riddle. But just one example. Every substance has its different planes, not only our body. And our body, our constitution, has a contact, a reaction with any substance at different levels. Just for example, you take a block of sugar. If you throw the block of sugar on my face, it cannot be sweet. A block of sugar, if you throw it on my face, it may hurt, it may injure my face, but it cannot be sweet to me. Because the block of sugar is in the physical plane. It has a physical property. But what you call sweetness of the sugar is not physical property. So the block of sugar is, it has its weight, its volume and color and all physical properties. But you can feel the sweetness of the sugar only when you touch with your tongue. So the sweetness is neither in the molecules of the sugar nor in the tongue, but the point of contact in the conscious level. So this is a proof to us that any substance can be contacted on the higher level of consciousness. So a substance which we want to apply as a medicinal substance should be used in that form so that it can be contacted on the level of its consciousness. Then our level of consciousness can be influenced by this. Then only you can direct your vital force from that higher level. Because when the disturbance is from the higher level of consciousness, so we have to also make any effort on that level again to regain. Otherwise, the disturbance is on the higher level of consciousness, and if we make an effort only on the lower level of consciousness, on the physical, you cannot bring really a permanent solution for this. So to deal with this, we have to get familiarized that our existence is, our true existence is as this consciousness which we call the inner light. So in the field of healing especially, it is a work, a phenomenon with the force, with the consciousness. And this work with the consciousness is most important aspect for us. And a distortion for the normal work activity of the vital force, how this distortion is happening, what is the origin of disease? This disease is attributed generally to the external medium, but disease actually, because it is a distorted functioning of the vital force, there are factors which are deeper in the higher level of consciousness that are identified by these holistic branches of the healing science. And these factors, they exist in the form of distortions which condition our logic, our thinking, our behavior, because we have in our consciousness, we have the mental, and higher to mental we have also the receiving pole which we call understanding, and the transmitting pole which we call the will. And if the will and understanding of person is distorted, then automatically it disrupts the pattern of thinking and behavior of the person, and it leads to a wrong activity in our daily life. Because when a wrong thinking, a thought is in a different direction, a wrong thought. So energy follows thought automatically. This is what Master Jwarkul is explaining. Energy follows our thought. So when the thought in the thought form is disharmonious, then it is more and more strengthened, and then it disturbs the functioning of our vital force. And this is manifested as a distortion ultimately on the physical plane. So unless you make a rearrangement in these higher planes, you cannot permanently make a change something on the physical plane. Because what we can see as the physical body is only a resultant of the forces that are working. So we have to work at the level of the force. So this can be possible when you work with these higher forces. And this is the aim of actually these holistic methods of healing. So it is in different applications. You can use the healing energies because the space around us is full of healing energy. That is the storehouse of energy. We know that. We are existing in space. We cannot exist without space because there is space in and around us. It is full of this cosmic energy. And so it is always available to us. But how to channelize this? That is the thing. So, the spiritual healing is one of the methods to channelize these energies to direct in healing the person who is sick. And also it was proved that you can also apply the substances also which are provided by nature by applying a system called dynamization. You can dynamize the substances also in such a manner that their inner level of consciousness can be invoked. This is another method of application. All the substances which are around us, they can be classified into two types of substances. One category of these substances that supports our vital force, that strengthens our vital force, which we call the food, for example. What we call food substance, it is like a fuel. The food substance is like a fuel for our vital force. Our vital force uses food and drink as a fuel to ignite. So these food substances are the one category of substances which are acceptable by the vital force. Because our vital force acts according to the higher intelligence. It can decide which is to be accepted, which is not to be accepted. That will be decided by the vital force due to the higher intelligence in us. So the food substances are accepted by the vital force without any resistance. Other than food substances, when you introduce into your constitution, then the vital force makes a resistance. It will not accept this. Immediately it makes an effort to expel this out of our constitution. That is according to the law of nature. If this is not there, we could not have existed so long. Because everything which gets into us, if it is not filtered out and our vital force will not make an effort to expel this, then our life activity cannot continue. So therefore, our vital force is so intelligent, it can reject which is not required, which is not used as a fuel for us. So in this process of rejection or elimination, it makes certain phenomena. It is called the secondary action. And during this action, it produces certain indications. And these indications, they are called symptoms. This is the natural phenomenon which nature has provided this. So the vital force, when it makes an effort to normalize in its functioning, it produces certain indications. These indications can be on the level of mind, on the level of force, and also on the level of matter, on different levels. And these indications, they are not diseases, they are only symptoms. If we make any effort to destroy these indicators, these symptoms, then we are at loss because we are eliminating all the possibility of knowing what is happening in us. So vital force is producing these indicators for us to use these indicators to realize what is happening and how to act. It is for this purpose.